All right, I've been handed a mystery box. Now, it says, courtesy of the Rye Guy. But is doing blind samples the best way to sharpen your palate? Let's figure it out.
Welcome to the Whiskey Shaman Podcast.
Okay, so whenever you strip away the branding, you're left with only with what's left in the glass, the aromas, the flavors, and the finish. We're going to dive into that today. We're going to taste through these samples together and see what this experience teaches us. So pour yourself something, maybe even a blind, and let's see where this journey takes us. So I've been handed this mystery box, right? And I don't really know what's inside. It could be bourbon, it could be rye. It's coming from the Rye Guy, so I'm thinking it's probably rye, but I don't know. But there's a question involved in all this. Is blind tasting the ultimate way to sharpen your palate? You have no label. There's nothing to hype you up. It literally says 1 on it. Let's just see where this takes us. So, I've got 4 samples here. Equal in dignity, but not equal in color. Some of them darker, some of them lighter. Now, I am using clear Glens. Doesn't matter. So, sample number 1, we are pouring into this Glen right here. I will have the one behind it. This is the Your Drinking Buddy Glen. Sample number 2, we are going to have in the Chaplin Distilling Glen. It's a distillery here in Texas. I just visited them recently. Number 3 is going into the Whiskey Shaman Glen. And last but not least, number 4 is going into the Chill Filtered Glen. If you guys don't know Chill Filtered, they are another podcast and they are doing some amazing stuff. They do a lot of review type podcasts and they are dads and dudes and they're just awesome people. I'm always down to shout out people doing amazing stuff in the whiskey world. And I also want to thank, by proxy of Doc Martinez of Old Fashioned Way, shout out to him. I got sent over this from him. He donated it to Doc's channel. Doc forwarded it to me. So here we are. Okay, let's get into it. Why does blind tasting really work? How does it work? Well, okay, so this is actually considered what they call a double blind because I don't even know what's in there. I didn't pour it. It's the only thing I did. It was take it out of the container and put it into here. So it is the best form of really understanding a whiskey. And that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys. It removes all of the bias behind the hype of the brand. And, you know, this is a $700 bottle or whatever. The age statement, you don't know. We're going to try and guess it, obviously. But you don't know what this whiskey even is. I'm just hoping it's whiskey. It forces you also to use your sensory, which is what I'm all about. Your nose, your taste, the finish, the palate, everything that's around it. But it can also help you build confidence in your own tasting notes. If you are guaranteeing, I know for a fact that that's a wheated bourbon, then have a piece of paper, especially with blinds, have some paper and write down what you think it is. Because I don't know. I'm guessing on this, I peel this tape off and it reveals the whiskey to me, which is super cool. Now, I'm going to go into this obviously blind, but also without preconceived notion of rye, right? From the Rye Guy, I'm thinking it's rye, but that doesn't mean anything. So when we have an expectation with whiskey, when I tell you this is Pappy Van Winkle, this is a $18,000 bottle of Lafroig, right? you have a certain expectation of that whiskey, and you put that whiskey on a pedestal, some would say. So what blind tasting does is it knocks all of that out of the way, and you're tasting and smelling the whiskey for what is in this glass right now. Not for the bias, not for the hype, not for anything. This could be a $10 bottom shelf whiskey and I wouldn't even know it. Or it could be a $10,000 unicorn whiskey that nobody's ever had. There's bottle 1 of 1. You have no idea. I can almost guarantee you it's probably neither of those, but I don't know. So let's get into it. And also, there is such thing as called the placebo effect, right? Where you're just like, this whiskey has to be good because it's expensive, or it has to be good because it's Buffalo Trace, or it has to be good because it's whatever, or this is inherently bad because it's Kessler's blended bourbon or whatever, right? It takes all of that away. When I was doing my sommelier training, we did only blinds. That was all you did all day long, because they want you to know what the truest form of that whiskey is. And when we were going through non-United States whiskeys, we dipped into Crown Royal, we dipped into Johnny Walker Red, and when you don't have that bias behind you, it turns into something completely different. And you're getting tasting notes on it that are completely different. And that is super, super cool. All right, let's talk about, we're going to get into the whiskey, guys. Don't you worry. But I want to preface all of this because there is a story within a blind. Let's talk about blind tasting as a palate trainer, right? It helps you pick up the subtle notes that you might not normally get in a whiskey. Or that you might normally pick up, because if you know it's going to be, I'm throwing something out there, a smoky Scotch, for instance, you know that you're going to get the phenolic compounds of the peat, right? But if you don't know, and you're like, oh, is it smoky? Is it not smoky? What's going on here? It helps you pick up the vanillins, the caramels, or is it caramel or is it butterscotch, right? It helps you work through that, but it also teaches you pattern recognition. And this is a big one to get into because people say rye spice, right? What they're picking up on is not the rye spice, because rye is inherently different, right? It has different parts to it, but they're picking up the inherent graininess of the rye. The spice comes across as, to some people it's mint, to some people it's dill, to some people it's wicker or eucalyptus or whatever. It's just that one note. For me, there's a malt funkiness, right? When I get into a American single malt or a Scotch or something like that that's not peated, there's a maltiness, a malt funk to it that is just, I don't know, because you don't know, right? It could be an Irish whiskey, it could be anything, but it makes you more honest with yourself and about what you actually enjoy. If I go through all of these whiskeys and I enjoy every single one of them, and then I reveal what it is, and I have never had these whiskeys before, well, then maybe that opens up my thought pattern to where you're like, hey, maybe I need to dip more into this. Or if, on the other hand, you dip into it and you're like, I don't like that at all. That is horrible. It's gross. It goes for the same, right? Then but then you open it up and they are all whiskeys that you have and you supposedly enjoy on your cabinet. That is where this is so much fun. So let's talk about how you would set up your own blind for your friends or family. It's really easy. First of all, you have to have sample bottles, right? You want to get sample bottles. Now, graciously, I was sent over these, but these are 1 ounce sample bottles. You can find them on Amazon, whatever. Preferably, now this is just me, and this is not poo-pooing on the Rye Guy, but preferably I like to do 2 ounce sample bottles for this reason alone. Let's say you pour 1 ounce and you look at it in the glass. It's not a whole lot in there. I mean, an ounce of whiskey is a lot, but you know what I'm saying? And for me to nose and taste this, it could take a little while, and I'm going to take multiple sips. The big thing, obviously, is water as well, but we're going to get into that later. I like to have enough left over to where when I'm done with the sampling of it, there's still some to enjoy, right? So think about that when you're doing it. But it's pretty simple. You write on there, or you have a key card on the side that you write on paper or whatever, everything about that whiskey that you have. Like, I'll give you an example. Here's an example, just an example bottle that I pulled up. This is a sample that I'm going to give to somebody. This is E.H. Taylor, single barrel, 100 proof, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, non-age stated, because it's not stated on the bottle. Obviously, being straight, it has to be at least 4 years old, right? And being bottled in bond, it has to be at least 4 years old, but it's between 6 and 8, supposedly. That's all you need. And so what I do is I get a piece of masking tape and just put masking tape over my little label that I made. And you could do it out of masking tape too. You can write it on there in masking tape. You can have a key card, put it in an envelope with your samples. It's really not that hard. And then they sell sample boxes similar to the one that the Rye Guy sent me that you can just pack them in there really, really nice. You want to bubble wrap because the guys who ship, now it's not legal to ship in the United States. So when you hand deliver these packages, they don't get messed up in transit. Okay. So just understand that. And also, it helps you to keep good notes, right? And when you're doing proof guesses, you can kind of pinpoint where the proof guess is. You know what I mean? And it helps you. There's a lot of whiskeys out there right now that are finished, right? It helps you to understand the different finishes of whiskey and what they present to you, not to anyone else. Who cares what Joe Blow down the street says port tastes like? What does it taste like to you, right? So, and then the cool thing is comparing your notes that you wrote down while sampling the whiskey to what is actually in the whiskey. And then going back to it, if you have enough in the sample, and saying, do I really get that now that I know what it is? Because then the placebo effect kicks in, and sometimes you end up changing your notes, which, hey, that's a thing, right? All right. So I've been talking for almost 15 minutes at this point. Let's drink some whiskey. All right. So I'm going to go in on sample number 1. This is in the Your Drinking Buddy glass. Like I said, I have my handy dandy notebook here, and we're going to just get into it. So there might be a couple times, if you guys are listening, there might be a couple times where I'm not talking. So just understand that I'm smelling, I'm tasting, doing all the things. I'll try to, my way through it. Let's get into the nose on this number 1. I'm going to take my time with this, guys. We're not, and that's the other thing. I'm not in a hurry. Okay. Take your time. You don't have to guess right away. Oh, that's a bourbon. Oh, that's a right. Take your time with it. Take a sip. Do this. You know, you're not in a hurry. And if you are in a hurry, you don't need to be drinking the whiskey anyway. Okay. So let's get into it. Ooh, that's dark. The color is actually pretty dark as well. Now, the color, that can be deceiving. E150 is a thing. Now, in bourbons and ryes, they are not allowed to use E150 coloring. So just understand that. If this is an American flight, the color has to be natural. If it is not an American flight, Bob's your uncle, you don't know. Okay, so there's some. All right, I'm going to write a couple notes down, just a couple small tasting notes or smelling notes. It is dark. It is molasses, brown sugar. I put BS for brown sugar. It's maybe not the best terminology to use. It's not BS. But then there's also like a walnut or a type of nut, maybe a cashew or a walnut. I'm going to put just nut because it's like an inherent nut. All right. So now I'm going to go on the taste. And so if you have tasted whiskey in the past, you know, the first taste, you just kind of want to let it go through, right? So this is kind of a secondary topic, is how to really taste whiskey, right? And we've talked about this in the past, but hey, we can always use a refresher, right? So you just want to take it, let it go through, take a very small sip, of course, because you don't know. This could be a hazmat whiskey or this could be an 80 proof whiskey. And if you're drinking it neat, that's the other thing, right? You always want to watch your intake as well. So, and have water on standby. We'll get into that. Okay. Oh, that's nice. That is really nice. Oh, man, it's like a cola note. Yeah, it has a cola note to it. It's not inherently like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. It's more like Sam's Cola. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it tastes like Coke, but it's not Coke. You know it's not Coke. That's really cool. That has a really cool note on it. I'm going to put that on there. That's really fun. Now, I think I will do number one and then reveal it. That way we don't have to wait till the very end to reveal all of them, because there is 4. And then I'll reveal number one to you, and we'll see how I fared. So for number one, I am going to say, let me get another little taste of it. It does have a little spice to it, like spice cake, or I had a coffee cake yesterday, which I'm not a big sweets guy, but we went to go have breakfast and I didn't really want anything. And they had this really nice looking piece of coffee cake. So I grabbed that when I was drinking my coffee. It was pretty excellent, but it was super cinnamon forward and super. So I'm going to put rye proof. I'm going to say it's pretty proofy. It's over 110 for sure. I'm going to say 118, and I don't know if he's, doing anything like that. So we're just, okay. So it is not finished. Not finished. Okay. I'm going to go back in and see if I can see any sort of grain note leading me towards a craft distillery or a legacy brand. Okay. So the nose is much the same. The molasses, caramel, brown sugar, that walnut. It is a walnut note. Yeah, that cola note just comes through. It's a shorter finish, but it's nice. What is there is nice. I think I'm good on the proof. It is not finished. It is. Oh, man. It does taste a little. I don't want to call it MGP because it's not MGP. I don't think. Oh, man. It does taste. I don't know, man. It might be. I'm going to put MGP. I know I said I wasn't going to, but on the brand and the bottle, I'm going to do. Oh, man. There's so many out there, isn't there? Prideful Goat. The single barrel rye. Prideful Goat single barrel rye. All right. Let's open this up and see what we got. I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, but I am excited for it. Hopefully I don't screw up the label. I'm not even looking at the label, guys. I'm just. Okay. I ripped it off. Oh, wow. I was off. I was off quite a bit, but that's cool. That's really cool. This is Cedar Ridge. Yeah. Double barrel rye. 105 proof. Okay, so I got rye. Okay. I did not get the proof. And okay, do you guys consider double barreling a finish? It did spend time in a secondary barrel. Yes. I guess it is technically finished, but putting it in a second barrel doesn't mean that it's finished. I'm going to get no points for that. And I got none for the distillery, or I am sorry, Cedar Ridge, that I thought you were MGP. Let me go in there and see if I can find. And the one, what was it? 108, 105 proof. Man, it drinks hotter than that. Maybe it's the double oaking, giving it more tannin. Therefore, it's a little bit more spice. Wow. It's really good. Really good. Okay. Water break. Water break. Okay, we're going to talk about water now. I almost choked on the water. Woo. Okay. Okay, so water. Obviously, you want to, for hydration, but it helps to cleanse your palate to go to the next one. Because, I mean, out of that 1 ounce sample, I might have had a quarter of an ounce. Okay, just enough to get the flavors of it. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. This one is in the Chaplin Distilling. Now, if you guys don't know Chaplin Distilling, I don't think it's Chaplin Distilling, but if you guys don't know Chaplin Distilling, they are a Texas distillery doing pretty cool stuff. Really, they're making bourbon. And not a whole lot of Texas distilleries are doing bourbon. Well, they are, but you know, they're doing other things as well. These guys are specifically doing bourbon out of like it's not a shipping container. It's not a mobile home. It's more like a what do they call that? Portable building, right? One that they set up for like schools when they're adding on. That's what it reminds me of. And they're distilling right in front of their tasting room. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Go check them out. I'll have a review of their stuff soon. I picked up a couple bottles. Let's get into the nose on number 2. Okay, so this one is bright, shiny, spicy. Let's get on the sip. Ooh, that one has, whoa. That's like a pecan. I don't know. I must be in the nut farm today. I don't know. On the taste, it tasted like pecan. Like a pecan praline or something like that. Really, really interesting. It's not as hot as the first one, so it's probably higher proof. So is it a rye? Let's figure out if it's a rye or not. I think it is. Let me check. Yeah, it's a rye. All right, I'm going to do rye. I'm going to do 108 proof. I'm going to do finished. For my distillery, I'm going to say toasted pecan wood. For distillery, I'm going to do Crittenden's. And then their toasted pecan. I think that's a bourbon, but the toasted pecan, not this. But I still think it's a rye. So am I just way off because I got that pecan note and now it's a thing? Let's find out. Oh my God, dude. What are we doing? I'm an idiot. I literally am an idiot. Okay. Guess what this is? Cedar Ridge single barrel, double barrel bourbon. 119 proof. So this is the proof I was getting on the other one. Oh my God. I literally got 0 points on that. That is funny. 119.7. That is wild. Wild. So my question is, are the rest of them going to be Cedar Ridge? That is so wild, man. Hold on. I went back to that second one. It is totally different than the first one. Totally different. I mean, I know the first one's a rye and this one's a bourbon. I guess that sweetness from the corn in it is making it, I don't even know, man. That is crazy. That is crazy. And that's the thing. That is what I am talking about, is understanding that like your palate isn't deceiving you. You are getting that, but that might not be what you're thinking it is. Does that make sense? Like it might not be portraying itself as, say, a rye whiskey. It might be a high rye bourbon, but you're picking up those rye notes because it's psychosomatic or you're psycho, one of the two. It's very strange, very intriguing. All right, back to water. This is fun. You guys, if you've never done a blind, I don't know what you're doing. Like, you need to, if you're into whiskey at all, obviously you're listening and watching. Well, if you're a Patreon, you're watching, you're listening to this, and you're listening to a dude do a blind, whatever, literally, this is the second drink I've had. All right, let's get into the third one in the Whiskey Shaman glass, obviously. Will this one be my favorite since I poured it in my own glass, which is extremely dirty, by the way. So that could mean something. The color on it, super dark. This one's by far the darkest out of all of them. There is an ant crawling all over the table, and it's freaking me out. I'm going to kill it. Ready? I'm sorry. Prayers for his family. Okay. Wow. The nose on this one is like bubblegum. And it has a little bubblegum note. It really does. All right. I'm going to put that as a tasting note. Bubblegum. Whew. I don't know if I'm just picking up the proof or what it is, but the proofy gal. Proofy gal. All right. On to the taste. Cilantro, whatever. Wow. That doesn't taste like a rye to me. Now that I know there's a bourbon in here, it's kind of making me second guess the entire thing, right? But is it Cedar Ridge? It does not taste like anything like the other two either. So do you hedge your bets and just expect it to be Cedar Ridge? Or do you say this is something completely different just to throw you off? And this is the imposter in the room, right? The flavors that are there are very nice. So I'm going to go back in for my second sip and sniff and just see where it goes. It's coating the glass pretty good. That bubblegum note has subsided a little bit. Now it's floral, fruity. It's a big nose. Wow. Okay. Man, that hurts. That hurts bad. Because I have no idea. This one is really throwing me. Because it has the spiciness that some ryes have. But I don't know if it's rye because it doesn't have the flavors that some ryes have. I'm going to put bourbon. I'm going to do 115 proof. Not finished. Distillery. Let's see. Do I hedge my bets with Cedar Ridge? I don't know, man. Okay. Also, I want to caveat in all of this and say, not that you would even care, but I am not editing this at all. So I want you guys to know that. And why would you? Why would you edit yourself out and be like, oh, I already know what it is? Like, that's stupid. Like, I'm not trying to do this to get points with you guys. I'm trying to do this to train my palate, to get better at tasting whiskey and picking out notes in whiskey. So why would I cheat, right? There's no point in it. So I am doing this live, unedited. I did have to pause at the very beginning to go to the bathroom, but because you know what happens when you come in the shed and you're just like doing your thing, setting everything up to do the camera thingies. And then you're like, oh, I better pee. Cause once I sit down, we're done. I forgot to put that in my head, sat down, and I was like, oh, I gotta go. So there is a glip, a little pause in the middle, but it was before I even got into drinking. So I just want to be transparent with you guys. So for distillery, I talk too much and I have to sip again. I'm going to hedge Cedar Ridge. And this is their single barrel toasted, which would mean it's finished. But I'm hedging my bets a little bit, knowing that the other two were Cedar Ridge. Let's see if I got it right. So for total, I haven't pulled the label off. I put bourbon 115, not finished, Cedar Ridge, single barrel toasted. I'm wrong. I'm 100% wrong. And that's okay. So this is Copper and Cask private batch, double oaked bourbon, 8 years old, 116.2 proof. I was at 115, so pretty close. Wow, I have never had Copper and Cask. Never had that. Yeah, it is really intriguing. That bubblegum note, which I don't get anymore. Really cool. So it's a bourbon. I got bourbon. Okay, cool. Within 2 points, right? On the 2.5. So I got that it's a bourbon and that it's double casks. So I'm going to I got 2 points out of that one. It's not good. It's not looking good for your boy, but that's okay. Okay. Why am I smelling that one? Let's drink water. We're going to be here all night by this time. Good Lord. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, if you enjoy this type of content, if you want to see me do more blind challenges, or if you want to see me do a deep dive on a bottle, I could talk about whiskey all day long. But like, if there's a specific whiskey that I don't do if you've seen a video, you know what I do. If there's a specific one that you want me to do, or if you want me to do a full deep dive into one specific bottle or one specific brand, just let me know. Whiskey Shaman Podcast at gmail.com, on my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever. Just let me know, or in the comments, let me know down below. You can comment on Spotify and Apple, but Apple, you have to do a review. And this, the audio of this will go up on YouTube as well. And so one of the things I've started doing, and this will be out a couple of weeks from now, not a couple of weeks, but you know what I mean? I have a schedule. I have started with the interview podcasts, and we'll get back to the whiskey. Don't worry. We're on the last one. On the interview style podcasts, whenever I release it on Spotify and Apple and all the other podcast platforms, it downloads onto YouTube as well with video, because I am sick and tired of editing the thumbnail to put video on it and sending out two separate things. It's just a lot more firmware, and it's a lot more posts that I have to do. And it's a lot more work, whereas I dump it and you get to see it. So if you want to watch the video of it, you can watch it on YouTube as well. Okay. But on Spotify, they do video podcasts as well. So if you want to watch the video, you can. You don't have to. It's fine. If you don't want to watch the video, I get it. All right. Moving on. I'm going to have one more sip of water. I want to thank somebody else. And I don't thank this person enough. Okay. The person I want to thank, and they are not a Patreon. They are not a enthusiast, so to speak. That would be my wife. Yeah. I want to thank her so much for giving me the availability of time to do said podcast, to do said blind challenges, to do said things. She told me I could go do a live stream this next week. She told me I can do another one this week. Now, I'm a grown man. I'm able to do whatever I want, but in a caring relationship that we have together, I value her opinion and her thoughts. And, we're back to school. We're doing all the school things, and it's stressful as a parent. And any way I can relieve that stress, I'm going to do it. And me being in this shed, drinking whiskey with you guys, not being in there taking care of kids. Now my kids can take care of themselves. They're fine. I just appreciate that. I appreciate the ability of being able to do what I want and what you guys hopefully want. Yeah, and I hope it pays off for her. And I can't thank her enough for just putting up with my BS. Literally just putting up with, hey, I got to record. Hey, I need to do a video. Hey, I need to do a live stream with this guy. Hey, I need to go in the shed. Hey, I need to clean the shed because I don't clean the shed. I just sent out a couple of weeks ago, I sent out the Patreon packages. Oh my God. I had so many empty bottles and just trash, literal trash. I went through, and this is no lie. I am not lying to you, on my mother's grave, right? I went through 3 boxes of samples. Yeah. 40 samples in the box. I went through 3 of them in the past 2.5 months, right? Some of them were not for Patreon only. I sent them out to other people that are jiving with me, and I've got a bunch right here that need to be sent out, right? Just understand that. All right, let's get into the last one. I need another drink of water because I talk. Why do I talk so much? They're lighting me up in the comments. ADHD is strong with this one, eh? All right. Number 4, the last one. Let's see. So far we've had 1 rye and 2 bourbons. Let's see if it follows up with a rye. Now, this one is a little bit lighter than the other. The nose is nice. I can't exactly tell you what is in the nose, though. So I might have to sip it first and then go from there. It's maybe a little tight. The nose might be a little tight. It might need to open up a little bit. I might add a drop of water to it, which when you're doing a blind and you're not recording, right? Excuse me. Take your time with it. Add a little water. Go through it. This is not a race, right? We're not doing this for, Guinness Book of World Records fastest blind dude. You know what I mean? It's fine. Take as long as you need. Wow. Got a coconut note. But not the normal like Malibu rum coconut. It's like the coconut flesh. The flesh of the coconut, where it has a little, full transparency. When I make my coffee, I do not put milk in it. I put coconut milk in it. And coconut milk is different. It has a different consistency, has a different flavor. It has some of the pulp, not pulp, but like cream in it, if you want to call it that. But it does not inherently taste like coconut. If you were to try it, right now, it might taste like coconut, but I have acquired and got past the taste of, kind of like when you're in, there's a caveat inside itself, but when you get into peated or smoked whiskeys, then you realize to look past the peat and get into the nuances that are there. And it's the same. It's not the same, but it's the same with coconut milk. A lot of people use coconut milk when they make curry. I ain't making curry. I'm making coffee, but got a little coconut flesh. All right, onto the palate. Whoa. That had an astringency on the back end that was tinging. Didn't really care for it. Let's see if it goes away with the finish. It does a little bit, but it's still there. It's like, not pine sol. It's not pine sol, but it's like a, it's like a musty hay. It's like a musty hay. We have donkeys, as you obviously well know by now. If you've listened to one episode, I talk about my donkeys all the time. It is like they don't eat. Donkeys are weird, okay? They don't eat all the hay. They eat the middle out of the hay, and what falls on the ground, they really won't eat it. And so what happens is the hay kind of stacks up. And obviously with rain and things like that, it starts to mildew and it starts to mold, obviously. I'm not EPA certified, so I cannot verify that it's mold, but it's black, it's growing, and it smells. It has a tinge of that. because I go out there and check the donkeys and water, and we got chickens and things, and I'm standing right next to it, and it's that smell of the mildewed. And now I'm making it sound really bad, and I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to it again. It's really perfumey on the nose, though. Like, by perfume, I mean floral, fruity. So floral, inherently honeysuckle. Fruity, I mean inherently like not grape, but like grape Kool-Aid, tropical punch, even. Like, there's just a sweetness to it. All right, I'm going to go in on the palate one more time. It's bitter. It has a bitter finish. And maybe that's what it is. It's like almost acidic on the tongue. Now, if this is a $300 whiskey, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you what I think. I think that this is a rye. My pen. All right. It is 120 proof. It's hot. It is double oaked. I'm thinking that's what the thing is. Hedging a little bit. It's not Cedar Ridge. I'm going to say, who else makes a good rye whiskey? That everybody makes rye right now. This is hard, man. I'm gonna do Copper Fox, and I'm going to do their single barrel double oak. All right, let's do it. Move back over where you're supposed to be. Number 4, the grand finale, if you want to call it that. I'm not looking. I'm closing my eyes, guys. I promise. All right. Let's see. Oh, gosh. I'm trying to stick it on my table. This is Short Barrel. Single barrel double oak series. Finished with toasted oak. Okay. Straight bourbon whiskey finished in toasted oak. Okay. I said it was finished, and it does say double oaked. So I'm going to give myself that. It is bourbon. It is bourbon. So I did not get rye. It took me a minute because there's lettering going all around. 118 proof. Do I get it? 2 points? I'm gonna give me that. I'm gonna give myself the double oaked. It is not Copper Fox, but it is a single barrel double oaked. Do I give myself the point for that? I'm gonna give myself a point because I'm a loser, baby. So Short Barrel, they are getting product from all over. So I don't know if it's MGP. I don't know if it's Barton. I don't know. They were doing something from, Southern Distilling. They get whiskey from all over. Short Barrel is doing some amazing things. Wow, this was all over the place. So there was one rye. One rye in the whole bunch. I can't thank the Rye Guy if he listens. I don't know if he does. I can't thank the Rye Guy enough for this. I've never had any of these whiskeys. I have had Cedar Ridge many times. I've never had, Copper and Cask. Never had that. I've had Short Barrel, but they were also the finished ones, like the honey finished or something like that. So this one's the double oak. So what's going to happen is I'm going to mix these all together and shoot them. I'm joking. I'm not doing that. Look at me. I'm not doing it. What's going to happen is I'm going to enjoy these, but I'm probably going to pour them back into the sample bottles, which some of them is minuscule amounts. Others, obviously, it didn't take me as long on the second one to figure out what I thought it was, which is not Crittenden's. But let's talk about what's next. All right, let's do something. I want to rank these from 1 to 4, 1 being the best, not by number, 1 being the best, 4 being the least worst of, right? You know what I get. So I'm going to go back through and go 1 through 4 and just kind of okay, that was the rye. Okay. That's the walnut. No, that's not the walnut. That's the pecan. Yeah, the pecan one that I thought was pecan. It's not. Number 3 was the bubblegum. Not getting bubblegum anymore. And number 4, obviously, we've just had. I'm going to say, for my palate right now, just take that for what it is. I'm going to say number 1 is number 2, which is the Cedar Ridge single barrel double barrel bourbon, 119.7. That's my number 1. My number 2, but very close, was the Cedar Ridge double oak rye, 105. They're right there. Then my 3rd was the Copper and Cask private barrel. That one was really good. That bubblegum note just kind of, okay, the Cedar Ridges taste, once I did them side by side, they tasted more like each other. You can get kind of like the distillery profile. Like they tasted similar. Copper and Cask was different, but unique and good. The short barrel, double oaked, toasted oak raw bourbon was my least favorite because of that musty hay note. Now, I would love to know what the distillery was that distilled that said product. So it's 2, 1, 3, 4 is my ranking on it. So, is blind tasting the best way to enhance your palate? What do you think? I can tell you, for me, it's less about being right on your tasting, and it's more about being present with what's in the glass, right? If you know what's in the glass, then it gives you a preconceived notion of it. But when you're coming at it super blind, you have no idea what you're getting into, then your brain and your taste buds just kind of go wild. And it's obvious in this setup, obviously, sent by the Rye Guy. I thought they were all going to be rye. Then I thought they were all going to be Cedar Ridge. Then I thought, so there was so many things that I thought was going to happen. The issue was they were all double oaked. Yeah, that was the thing that tied them all together, was the double oaking, which made it even spicier, which made it even more pronounced. Even with a toasted barrel, it still gives you more of that oak profile, and then that oak, the tannin structure and all of those things, like you're getting a lot there. So I invite you to do a blind. I've sent blinds to a number of people, and it's just a lot of fun. Even if it's a single sample, even if you like, I want to send you this sample, and I'll send you, whoever's listening, a sample, and I'll put Scotch tape over the front of it and put blind with the label behind it. And you can go and say, you know what? That is the New Riff Kentucky Straight Malted Rye 6-year-old 100 proof. That's what this is in this sample. Now, malted rye, you get into the different types of rye. You get into the different types of bourbon, like wheated or high rye, or the finished. It just goes all over the place. And that's why doing it blind is the best way to do it. Yes and no. Trash can, which is not full anymore because I took the trash out. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get out of here. So we have had a pretty amazing turnout on the old Patreon. We've had a couple of new sign-ons. It is not shout out time, so you will not be getting shout out as of right now. But I hope that what I'm doing is something different, something cool, something unique. I love doing blind samples. I love doing something that, I don't know, everybody's doing everything, right? There's nothing new under the sun. So understanding that and putting yourself in that perspective of like, I'm a whiskey guy doing whiskey things. Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to be different than everybody else, because like, here's the deal. The whiskey in the glass is what really matters. And it's not so much the whiskey, but the story behind it. And that's why I love most 99% of the interviews that I've done with whiskey distilleries and NDPs and whoever you are, somebody cool in the whiskey industry, because that showcases not only whatever whiskey they're representing or whatever brand they're representing, it showcases that person, that particular person. And that's what makes whiskey, above any other spirit out there, so unique and so different. And that's why so many people out there have to, they feel like they have to collect all of the said products, right? I will tell you, remember a couple of episodes ago, probably 5-6 episodes ago, I said I hadn't bought whiskey in a while. Well, that's changed. I bought quite a bit of whiskey. I got quite a bit of whiskey from distilleries. Anyway, it's fine. Now I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, cut it off again. So there becomes a point where you're like, okay, I don't have the room for the whiskey, and it's becoming a thing. It's not a thing, right? Like, I don't go through bottles that fast. I'll do this blind sample and be done for the night, right? So it's fine. In total, maybe had 2.5 ounces of whiskey. It's fine. But at the same time, like, having whiskey in the house, like, who are you presenting it to, right? Do you have people over to have whiskey tastings? Do you have people over to do blind samples with? Or if you don't, is it just there for collateral, right? For clout, for whatever. Yeah, I know. Makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you think if, well, that's it. We just did a blind sample challenge, courtesy of the Rye Guy. There was no context with it. There was no bias. It was just me and my palate and the whiskey. What I learned today is that Scotch tape doesn't hold up a piece of cardboard to block the sun from the window. But what I learned today is blind tasting keeps you honest. It forces you to slow down and really taste. And sometimes it even surprises you with what you actually enjoy. Is blind tasting the best way to enhance your palate? I think it's one of the more powerful tools that we have in our whiskey drinker. As a whiskey drinker, sorry. But it's also about making it fun, not stressful. Like, why does it matter? If you've never tried a blind, I challenge you to set it up. Set your own blind up. You can do it double. You can do it single, right? Let's say you have 3 bottles of whiskey at your house right now, and you've drank through those whiskeys. They're about half empty. Have your wife, if she's willing to do it, pour you those whiskeys separately. And give them to you in undisclosed Glencairns or rocks glasses or however you drink it. Not tell you anything about it. That is blind enough to where it takes the bias out of it. Swap samples with somebody. I'd love to swap samples with you if you want to do that. Or cover up the labels and just taste it. Get sample bottles, pour your whiskey in those sample bottles, and then cover up the label. Do a naked bottle that I got right here. This bottle, I don't even know what's in here. I don't know. Do it blind, right? But then I also want you to share the results with me. What you found out. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching if you're on the Patreon. Until next time, keep your glass full and your mind open and your palate sharp. But above all, make sure that you keep your spirits up. Peace out.